Good evening, everybody. Hello. Hello to the three who are waiting or in the process of watching. Hello. Welcome to Restore Belief with Nikki. I am NikkiJacobs. Welcome to my channel if this is your first time here. And if it's not, as you know, as I always say, grab a cuppa of whatever you're after. I got my iced tea again. So, there we go. Now it says I'm live. That's interesting. It said I had 10 seconds on the clock and now it doesn't. Okay, interesting. Anyway, if you didn't hear, please welcome to Restore Belief with Nikki. I am Nikki. You're on the second. Thank you. I appreciate that very much, Amy. And welcome. Sound quality is awesome. Okay, well, I'm hoping it was better than the last couple of times. So anyway, welcome to Restore Belief with Nikki. I am Nikki. I am NikkiJacobs. So welcome. Come on in. Grab a cuppa, whatever you want to drink, and sit on down and enjoy. Hopefully you'll enjoy it. It's kind of an interesting topic in some regards. So I'm going to be talking about ETs again. Some of you might go, oh my God, again. Well, yeah, it's because it's kind of been in my life, my entire life. And there's some of this that I haven't talked about before. Some of this I have. I was asked to be on a specific podcast, specific show. I went ahead and yes, I would, Amy. Amy says, would you actually have beverages for us if we were there in person, though? Yes, I would. I would make you your coffee. Anyway, or Coke or Pepsi or whatever anybody wanted. But yeah, or almost whatever anybody wanted. Anyway, usually make a party of it if somebody's over. Anyhow, so some of the topics tonight, like I said, had declined somebody's offer of being on their podcast, on their show. Not quite ready to delve into some of that. Plus, I'm remembering more. And that has to do with government who is working with ETs. And yeah, do I know that they could potentially unalive me for talking about what I'm going to talk about? Yeah. But I think it's important for the public to know this information. There are aspects of it that I do believe that should not be talked about. And I probably, highly likely, will not talk about those things. I remembered another military person, very high up in rank. Very high up in rank. One of the highest ranks you can have, in fact. Well, that's how they are now. I don't remember what their rank was at the time that they were standing in front of my face. How do I say this politely? I was getting yelled at and screamed at by this officer. He was no gentleman. I don't know why officer and gentleman ran through my head, but it did. He was no gentleman by any stretch of the imagination. Very tall individual. Sorry, I'm having different things run through my head at the exact same time. I'm trying to speak about this, and I'm trying to shut those thoughts down because I do not want to speak those. It's way too dangerous to me and my life, let alone my family's lives. So that's way too dangerous. So that said, I will say this. He was another, I was going to say contender. That's not the word I wanted. He was another officer who gave explicit orders and made explicit demands as to what it was. And if you hear a fan, that's a vent in the ceiling. The heat just came on. Well, the fan just came on the furnace. Anyway, it's not the heat. So you may hear that in the background. Anyway, my point is that they bark orders, and if you're not military, too effing bad. They can give you the gambit of information that they wanted done and achieved, whether you achieve that or not. If you don't achieve it, too damn bad. Not hearing any fan. Thank you. I appreciate that, Amy, because that's kind of a big deal to me. It's literally right above my computer where I'm sitting. So, anyway, so I very much appreciate that, Amy. Thank you. I remember this officer's name, his full name, first, middle, and last. I can describe you to him as how I remember him. I saw a recent picture of him, and I didn't recognize him in his current aging. And then came across a younger picture of him, and I lost my shit when I saw him. Hey, Woo Riders. Great evening day. Yeah, right now it is 7:07 p.m. my time, Pacific time. If I remember right, you're in Australia, correct? Correct me if I'm wrong. Please. Anyway, so yeah, I can describe him to a T. His hands, his body, his build, everything. So, Florida. Why did I always think that you're in Australia? Maybe it's Simon that I goof you guys up. Anyway, I apologize. I do that periodically. Anyway, so this officer is almost as bad as the one previously from my younger days doing MiLabs. I keep bringing my age up, so if anybody wonders, especially any psychologist or that's not the word I'm looking for, not provider, profiler, that's what I was looking for. The reason why I have a hard time with certain things and how my brain is because of part of it is part of the dyslexia. The other part of it is because of the way the government asshats have targeted me with energy weapons, and it has affected my brain. Interestingly enough, it hasn't affected my long-term memory. So, again, that's what I say to them. But they bark orders. They will get in your face just as if you are in the military, whether you are not. I've never been, in this lifetime, I have never been in the military. The only lifetime that I remember that I was ever military was during the Roman era. I had 2 lifetimes as a Roman soldier, and I absolutely hated it. Hey, Robert. I'm glad to see you in here. And for those that don't know, Robert has a show that he's going to be on tonight. I don't remember the name of it, but anyhow, so he's on right after I am. So these guys, they can get very predominant, very nasty. Thank God I was standing up during this one. I would call it an interrogation. I was outside of a what I would call a workroom. I don't know what else to call it. I do remember that they called it something specific, but I'm not holding on to that memory right now. I know it's in my head. I know that that is a memory. I will eventually remember it. I remembered the name. Hang on, let me get it. I remembered a very, very specific title. I'm not going to say the full title, but I will call it what they called it. And this alone might get me. Just even saying this is could potentially be extremely dangerous to me. It's called MAC, M-A-C, and it was nicknamed Big Mac for a reason. I am not going to say what those letters stand for. And it's not just a 3-letter, it's literally a 4-letter, M-A-C-C. So that said, it was used in MiLabs. It was used in soldiers, and I'm not calling them super soldiers because I don't think of them as super. I don't think of them. There's been too many classifications, even with the movies. That super soldiers is kind of, the term has kind of gotten a bad name, kind of gotten a bad rap. And when people say super soldiers, it means something very specific. In 48 minutes. Okay, I didn't realize, because that's about 8 p.m. my time instead of 9 p.m. So anyway, I was responding to Robert. So that all said, the Big Mac is used in some really, hey Joe, very, very specific ways and locations off planet. I don't know if that's what they call it on planet. I don't give two shits if it is. If it is, they are carrying it over into the space program that they've got going on. And because I was not able to be cracked as a kid, psych wise, they put me to work in being a controller. I don't know what else to call it. They call it something else, but it's where you're sitting in front of, lack of better terminology, computer system, a lot of screens. It's not a computer system like we know it, but that's what I'm calling it like. Oh, an hour and 48. Okay, that's 9 p.m. My time, Pacific. Anyway, so also responding back to Robert. So that all said, it is a it's a command room, one of many. From how I remember it, we all did something different. I do not remember. How do I say this? I do not remember vast amount of people. There were only a certain amount, certain amount of people who would be doing what I was doing. We would be on, it's kind of like certain shifts. So when you're taken, when you're literally abducted from your home environment or from your environment or wherever you're taken from, I know that somehow there is what people call a 20 and back. I know that I can't classify it as a 20 and back. It's different. It's different than that. It's not what other people talk about. The way I remember it, that's not how it's done. It's done differently. That all said, I do know, and I've been recently told by people that know me, that they honestly think that super soldiers and 20 and back is they've got the person has something seriously psychologically wrong with them and they're delusional. And I've actually been told that by people. Well, not just one person, but by a couple of people. And that's fine. That's your opinion. That's your belief. I know what I've seen. I know what I've experienced. I know what I've been around. I know the ETs I've been around. And the ETs specifically that work with the human governments, I know this. It's in every cell of my body. Yeah, I'm not going to say that name on my show, Amy, but she's exactly right. Read the chat. She is exactly right. I totally agree with that. And there were ETs that specific individual made up. The interesting thing is, though, that the ones that he made up, there are people that I know that do know a few races of ET that are similar to that, but they are not what he described. And of course, what is all over the internet is exactly what he described, because they've created art images of it. And what's happened with those? Oh, God, I got a hair on my nose. Sorry, guys. What has happened with those art images? They've been plastered everywhere. Yeah, it does a major disservice to the ufology community. Major disservice. That is why I always state, be careful who you follow. I know people that don't want to have anything to do with me because of this subject. So be it. To be blunt, that's their loss in getting to know me and getting to know who I really am. I do not talk about all of this on a daily basis. I don't spend my time going, oh my God, F that. I have a daily, regular life. I'm not going, now granted, there are things that I will see online and I'll voice it. Go, well, that's bullshit. And somebody's going, what are you talking about? Oh, never mind. Because it's not worth to have a conversation with somebody who is just going to give you a dirty look or an eye roll or make derogatory comments about it. It's just like, it's not worth my time. It's not worth my energy. Now, if somebody wants to have an open conversation with me, I'll have an open conversation. But if I get that response, then I don't have to talk to you about it again. Now the spirit side of it, yeah, there are things that I will talk about spirit wise. That will be a daily occurrence because hello, they're in my house all the damn time. So, yeah, that makes life really rather interesting. So ETs, what I wanted to talk about tonight were ET ships versus military ships. The military ships that I have been on, yeah, possible, Simon. The military ships that and I'll respond to that in a minute, or I'll state more of that in a minute. The military ships that I have been on, they are solid metal. It's almost like a combination version of steel and some kind of ET metal. It's definitely well reverse engineered. Couldn't think of the term. Reverse engineered. There's forms, but it's metal. It's not living entity type of ET. The real ETs that and there's, I don't mean real versus, because the ETs that work with the U.S. military, they're real ETs. Don't get me wrong, they are really manipulative. The ones that are up close and do the abductions and do the dealing with the brain and blah blah, those are the ones that I have real issue with. I do not typically have real issue with the ones that actually work with the US government, because they're trying to prevent trying to decide if I'm going to say that or not. They're trying to prevent things from happening, very specific things from happening. And I understand that. There are aspects of it I don't agree with. You know, I understand that. I have my own opinion on it. I get that. And I get that no, it's not safe. Amy's saying say it, thank you. And I'm like, it's not. There are aspects of this that are just not safe enough for me to say it. The fact that I even called out Mac and Big Mac, we'll see what that cost me. Hey Tracy. Welcome to Restore Belief with Nikki, talking about ETs, U.S. military working with ETs, ET ships, MiLabs, spirits, just a bunch of conversations. I don't think you've been in my chat before. You may have seen my show before, and I do not recognize your face, dear. So, but yeah, come on in, grab a cuppa, whatever you want, and sit down and enjoy. And this is an interesting topic. Okay, so I'm 56. I'm an ET abductee since age 4 that I remember. I'm also a MiLabs abductee since age 8. And wow, psychic medium, experiencer of the woo in all forms and measures regarding it. I've had psychic attacks, psychic mind attacks, psychic connection attacks. I've been on paranormal teams. I've been on ufology team. Worked with a lot of different people. So tonight has been a conversation about MiLabs and ETs and U.S. military. That's really where the rubber hits the floor, so to speak. So there are situations that are very, Amy, I know you really want me to say it, and I get that, and I appreciate you for saying that. So it can get really dangerous, but the Mac, also known as the Big Mac, situation, it is really rather difficult in a lot of ways. So There are things that I do agree with that the military is doing to keep certain aspects safe. There are other things, a vast amount of other things that I absolutely do not agree with and think that they should have kept their frickin' noses out of stuff regarding space, universe, and universes. So, anyway, okay, gotta shift. Feels like it's been a while since I have been taken. That's fine. I haven't capital MAC, Amy. Amy says, Big Mac, I have been out of the loop. And it's a double C. So it's MACC. And it's been nicknamed by those in the military as Big Mac for very specific reasons. There's a lot. There's a lot to have a conversation about. And yeah, there's a lot of things that are very dangerous to talk about. Anyway, so I'm literally, as I'm talking, having flashbacks and memories popping up of situations that I've been in. And I'm having a hard time dealing with trying to be able to speak at the same time as having these memories pop up. For those that do not know, I have never done and probably never will do a hypnosis regression. I've been consistently told not to. Yeah, I will after I get off doing a live, Simon. Simon says to write them down. I usually do. Last night was pretty intense for me. I had somebody ask me some questions and it ended up doing a unexpected psychic read, and so I had to have somebody stay on the line with me to get everything written down because it was so intense with all the information that came up. But these things, I'm literally seeing flashes. No. Amy, oh, a multiple award construction contract. No, not by any set, any stretch. Anyway, but I'm seeing corridors. I'm seeing quarters that open up into rooms. Lifts, things that you and I on this planet would call elevators, but they're not elevators, they're actual lifts. Like we have elevators with actual walls around them. These are what the hell are they called? It's a platform, it's a metal platform, and the platform lifts up, but you keep your arms attached to your sides. You don't put your arms out by any stretch of the imagination because your arms will get ripped off. And that is what one of the ETs told me. Shaft. It's an elevator shaft, but only with a lift that goes up and down. And some of them are really big. I mean, this was a large one, but it was small at the same time. There were 2 humans and a 8-foot reptilian-like ET standing on it. That's one of my main memories. I have others that are real similar, but that's the one that's just easiest to describe. The other ones are much more difficult to describe. much more difficult. It's almost like if somebody could connect like telepathic television, and that's kind of like what the ETs do. They connect to your mind in a specific way, and it's like it's almost like a download. They can download all of your memories. I don't know how else to describe. I don't know how else to describe how it's done, but it's the only way I know how to describe it. It's like they connect telepathically to your mind, and they see all of your memories. It's pretty simple for them, but it's incredibly invasive for us. Very, very invasive for us. So the government does a lot of different aspects with the programs that they've got. They don't just have one or two programs; they've got quite a few, and it can get pretty invasive. The only thing that I can even remotely relate it to and how to describe it is like the TV show Stargate. That's the only thing that even remotely comes close to it, but it's not Stargate at all. Yet it minutely is. I mean, how do you describe something like that? I mean, grand scheme of things, in a realistic way to where everybody else is going to understand, recognize, and know what the hell you're talking about in layman's terms. So it's got a little bit too much sweetener in it. Wow. But the ships, I mean, everything is metal. Yes. So okay, sorry for the squeaking. My legs are bothering the hell out of me tonight. So Trace is it Trace or Tracy? She's asking, have you met many like yourself? Yes, many, quite a few actually. That's a wonderful question. It's just Trace. Okay. I know quite a few that are like me. And you would be absolutely, I know a lot of abductees. A lot of abductees. I know a lot less, but a lot. It's nice to meet you too, hon. But a lot less in the numbers regarding those that are MiLabs. And funny enough is that I'm being recognized. Hey, Mr. B and friends. I'm glad to see you, hun. Multiple agency craft conference. Probably not. Yeah, correct. Probably not. No, that's definitely not it. Yeah, I figured you guys would start trying to figure that out. Which is why I'm not saying the full name, because it's really scares me as to how dangerous it can be. Anyway, yeah, there are. I'm having people. Okay, here's the thing. I'm having regular people, both men and women, who are recognizing me when I was younger. But they're recognizing my voice now. Then because I've got the obesity, I've got the morbid obesity, and I have no problems in talking about that. It's whoopee dingleberry frickin' do. Whoopee. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm in different groups, right? A lot of people in those groups are recognizing me and my voice, because my voice has not changed. They're recognizing my voice, they're recognizing my eyes, they're recognizing my soul as somebody that they know. And when I get to talking to them, I'm like, God, I feel like I've known you. How the hell have I? And then we start piecing it together. They've been the soldiers. I do not call these folks super soldiers. I never have. I probably never will. But they are soldiers. And they are abductees who have been trained, typically from childhood, to become soldiers. My heavy area cat club. Oh my God, you guys are cracking me up. Thank you. I appreciate that. Mwah. Thank you guys. So yeah, but they're recognizing me, and it's actually because of one of those soldiers that it was because of him that whenever he and I talk, he triggers more of my memories. Hardcore. We have talked, and he'll say something, and the next thing and it could be not even the subject of super soldiers. We'll have a conversation about anything, which I don't talk to him all that often. But when I start having memory flashbacks, hardcore. Hey, I already said hello to Robert. Hi, Drew. Anyway, so he starts triggering my memories, and it's because he's one of the soldiers that was under, I won't call it my command because it wasn't my command, it was the military's command. But he was one of the ones where they would hear my voice in their device in their ear, and telepathically, because we were telepathic, and we would have these communications as to where they were supposed to go, what they were supposed to do. And our higher consciousness recognizes each other. That is a huge deal, folks. When you start having, there we go. Sorry. Low internet. Oh, this is going to get interesting. So somebody, if my stuff pops out, start typing in the chat. Internet is, or we're buffering or something. So please let me know that in the chat, okay? Because a lot of times some of these subjects get kind of wonky, and I have been kicked out of here before. So the point gets to be where we start recognizing each other. Our souls, our higher consciousness, our energy recognizes each other. Just dawned on me. Didn't just dawn on me. I was being reminded earlier, and I'm just remembering. So please hit the like button, the share button, if you find that this is information that you can post somewhere that may be helpful to other people. And subscribe. I would love the subscriptions, folks. Thank you. I appreciate it. And hitting the like button really helps with the algorithm. So very much like, subscribe, and share. Very much appreciate it. So yeah, we start recognizing each other. It's interesting that there's not as many of them that I recognize. How do I say this? I recognize more ET abductees, regular ET abductees, than I do the super soldiers, but that is starting to shift. It's kind of like ET abductions were way up here, and the super soldiers were way, way, way down here, and now they're starting to get closer to half, if that makes sense. And I think it has to do with the fact that many of them recognize me because I was one of the people that was in their ears, telling them, you got orders to, you got orders to be someplace, and this is how it's going to happen, and this is what needs to take place. So no, I'm not repeating that one, Simon. I've shared on. Oh, thank you, Drew. I've shared on my Facebook. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Welcome to the 9 who are watching and those who are in chat. I very much appreciate it. And for the 6 likes, I very much appreciate that as well. So the subject of soldier. Hey, oh my God. Hey, Alice. Oh, honey, I hope you have a really good day tomorrow. Just saying. I know. I was going to say chat. That's not what I meant. And channel is not the right page. Page is the right word. I've been watching your page. Anyway, so that's why I say that. Anyway, and thank you for the hearts. I appreciate that. So yeah, I like I said, I don't call them super soldiers, but we do recognize each other. And a lot of times we try to figure out why. There's a woman in one of my groups that I look at her and I'm like, oh my God. I recognize, and now this is going to sound bizarre, but I recognize her body more than I recognize her soul, and it's strange. It's because there's something about her body. It's her muscle tone that I recognize, and there's something very specific about the voice. And I know why. I will never say why publicly, but I know why. And I'm like, wow, okay. And this is because Trace had made a comment in my chat. This is why we're on this specific subject right now. And I thank you, Trace, because you will help me to help others. And that's a big deal. That's a really, really big deal to me. Is the reason why I'm talking and being open about this is because if it helps other abductees, other MiLab experiencers, this is a really, really big deal. And I want those others that are those experiencers, I want them to know that they're not alone. You are not alone. There are very few, but there are places that are safe enough to have conversations. There are people that are safe enough to have conversations. And granted, the way society is globally, it makes it very difficult to have these conversations in a safe way. Oh my God. Hey, Christopher. I am glad to see you. So I'm one of the many who tried to bring this subject out and have it openly talked about our experiences. For whatever reason, I am literally being shown and reminded to talk about an experience that my mom and I had. I've talked about this time and time again, but my mom and I were in the mountains. My mom was driving. Oh God, I always do this. I think I was 7. Or was I 6? Oh, I had to have been 6. Hang on a second. Yeah, I was 6. So we're in a van. We're driving over the mountains. And the van is raised up in the middle. Mom was doing like 55, 60, trying to take the van up the hill, going up the mountains. And the van, I still remember in my ears hearing and feeling the wheels are trying to go. The wheels are spinning. The back wheels are continually spinning. The front wheels, they're stopped on the road, but they're as they're being lifted, but they're still spinning because hello. I'm here to tell you and we were over California. So Amy just asked what state. That was in California. we were driving from Seattle down to a military base in California. And because of my stepdad was in town, and he was military. And my mom was going to drop me off at what was my step aunt. How do you say that? He was my stepdad, so she was his sister. And my mom was going to drop me off on my aunt's farm. Yeah, we were supposed to. So Trace asked, "Did you lose time?" Yes, we did. No, please ask. Honey, ask questions. If you have questions, I will be glad to answer questions. Not a problem. Please feel free. I want people to do that. That's why I've got the chat open. Yeah, we lost time. Matter of fact, my mom had made it instilled in me that we were going to be 2 hours early. She wanted to be at the farm 2 hours early. And we were over 6 hours late. And we couldn't figure out why. But the van, literally, a bright light came down. And see, this all, and my mom confirmed it. That's the other thing that freaked me out, is my mom lost it when I mentioned it to her. That's the other thing. That's a whole nother subject, but yes. Spaced Out Radio, Dave Scott. Yeah, definitely come to SOR. Anyway, so yeah, a light over the van as we're going up the hill, and I remember sitting in the passenger seat, and when I woke up, we were on the side of the road, on the other side of the mountain, I might add. On the side of the road, van was parked, and mom was in the front seat. How do I say this? It's almost like she was slumped over the wheel, but she wasn't necessarily slumped. I don't know how else to explain that. And I remember being in the seat, the van coming down to the pavement, and it was like I was being ordered to lay down in the back. And I remember getting up out of that seat, walking to the back, and Mom and I woke up sometime later. I don't know how long later, but sometime later. And she woke up, and she's like trying to logically understand why she had pulled over, or why she thought she had pulled over. My mom lost it when I talked to her about I can't go there, or I'm going to lose it. So that said, yeah, we lost 6 hours of time. We lost 4 hours, because if we had gone there on time, we would have been 4 hours late. Oh my God, Jana, oh my God. Girl, what the hell are you doing still up? Oh my God. Go to bed, woman. Oh, I love that you're here, though. Thank you. Oh, sweetie. I hope you've had a really good day. Anyway, so yeah, we lost 6 hours of time. I mean, technically, we how my step aunt, she was just appalled. Because my mom was known for always being on time or even being a little early. My mom wanted to surprise her sister-in-law, and to give her something. There was something, I don't remember what it was, but there was something that she wanted to give her. And the interesting thing is that I have very little memory of that farm, and I've bits and pieces of memory of that farm, but that has to do with a very, very specific, traumatic, life-threatening accident that happened on the farm that I witnessed as a little girl. So it makes logical sense that I do, and I have been both told by psychic friends and by the other side, Nikki, that is something you do not want to remember. It will truly horrify you. And I'm like, okay, I will understand. I don't like it, but because I have a photographic memory, for those that don't know. And for me to be told by that many people, living or deceased, that it is so traumatic that it will truly scar me a lot more than the ET stuff. And that's saying something. Yes. Alice is asking, was this confirmed with your mom later in your life as an adult? Yes. Oh, thank you, Janet. Oh my God, thank you. So yeah, it was, and it wasn't. She cried. She literally. Hang on a minute. When I commented on it, she literally screamed, first thing out of her mouth. And then she said, I remember that, and she lost her ever loving shit. She started crying hardcore. It was like I had uncorked a memory, and it re-traumatized her. I was 6 years old, Jana, so it was 50 years ago. Yeah, supposedly, now this is what I've been told. My mom would never tell me, and there's no way she could tell me now because of the Alzheimer's, but my mom, that's not what I was going to say. My mom never told me. My family never told me. It was something that I know that she told my grandmother, because my grandmother from the other side is like, Nikki, let it go. My grandmother knows I don't let things go like that. So yeah, I have been told by a couple of psychic friends. Oh, I don't have to do that. I don't have to tap into that one. I can tell you right. Let me get into that in a minute, Woo Writers. But yeah, they know what's coming. That's what that has to do with. Okay, so I've been told by a couple of really good psychic friends. They were like, Nikki, there was a lot of blood at that accident on the farm. You literally were witness to a farm machinery accident, and there was a lot of blood, and somebody nearly died. That's why they don't want me to remember. And I was told by one of them, one of those psychics, that I'm seeing bits of it. This is what she was telling me. I'm seeing bits of it now. It's not something you want to remember as a child. And then now as an adult, it's not something. So please let it go. So that's what that has to do with. But and it's hard for me to let something like that go. But now the interesting thing is that when I was 10 years old, I have all my memories of being in Tonga in the South Pacific, but I have been asking the other side. There's certain sections where I have lost time. Is it possible that I was taken when I was in Tonga? And I was told yes. Now, have I asked outright, was I taken? No, I have not. And I literally just told you, I was just told yes. I don't have any memory of it. I just know that I've got short bits of missing time. And that's not normal because I do have a photographic memory. And my family very privately called me Little Miss, their quote unquote, our Little Miss Dr. Doolittle, because I would talk to the animals literally, and they would telepathically talk back to me. So I've often wondered, like when I was in New York, when we traveled, because I've lived in Washington State all my life, and I have wondered if I had, because I do have missing time when I've been in New York, and when people have talked about the Montauk projects, I wondered about that, and I'm like, no. And then I get our family friend who was like a second mom to me. Her family, she was one of 12 children living in New York. She grew up, was born and raised in New York, and she and her daughter are still in New York. And I don't know about her son though. I don't even know if he's still alive. But her family will periodically come to me going, you need to let some of that go, Nikki, about New York, about the missing time. And I'm like, oh, that's not good. That actually scares me more than anything. I used to be really afraid to have my memories. Now I just get pissed. I just get pissed because most of my memories that are coming up now, and it's safe for me. My body is, it's safe enough for me now, even though in the situation that I'm in, it's still safe enough for me to start remembering uh, the ET government stuff, and is not really exactly what I had anticipated in talking this long or this much about, but I'm really thankful for the questions to be able to answer them. Okay, Derek Woo Writers is saying, Nikki, can you tap into your abilities and ask why all the big wig CEOs of companies are resigning left and right and all over USA? Yeah, they're seeing what's coming, honey. That's why. And I'm not getting into, because that's a whole political resource shit show. I'm not going down that road right now. Hit me up privately. You know how to, Derek. We can have a conversation then. Trace, I understand. Yeah, that's good. I mean, you've got to be, you've got to be to where your soul recognizes that it's safe enough for you to have memories. And having memories is not easy. Going through flashbacks is not, these are called repressed memories. Well, part of it, they're not repressed, they are literally blocked from you, especially when you're dealing with ETs. Hello, just had a flash on my whole computer system. Let me know if I'm still up and running, folks. Seeing we go through this the last 4 weeks. Fun. Always makes me question shit. Anyway, still good. Thank you, Simon. I appreciate that. Thank you, Jana. I appreciate that. And Alice. Yay. Thank you, guys. I've actually, where I've been talking and people are like, where the hell did you go? So, and you'll see those in my channel. So, because I leave those, I think there's only one that I actually deleted because it was such a shit show. And I can't even remember. I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it was enough to where it was highly, highly, highly controversial. And apparently, I learned right away I had to be very careful how I worded things. So when I came back on, we rephrased things and that show stayed on. So you learn really early on what YouTube and the government will and will not allow. It's always oh so fun. You get really creative. So as an abductee, yeah, I mean, like with the car, I didn't have that memory until just 2 years ago, year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that. Something around there, a year and a half, 2 years ago. Because I had always said, I don't have repressed memories. I had repressed memories of the childhood sexual abuse that I went through. You know, that was a whole different ballgame. I understand that. I get why. I understand why the farm accident is those are true repressed memories. Being an ET abductee, you typically do not have repressed memories. You have blocked memories, and they are blocked by the ETs for a specific reason. And it's interesting that I've had 2 psychic friends in the last 2 weeks specifically tell me, because I know quite a few psychics, specifically tell me you have a door and in your memory and it's time to start walking through it. And I had one specific friend very publicly state to me, walk through that hidden door, Nikki. It's time. They're telling me you need to walk through that door. And I'm like, mother effer. Because if I do that and it happens all at once, I'm going to have a shit show go on. And I know this because I know how my memories operate. I know how they function. I know the way I get flashes. I know the psychic stuff, the telepathic shit, all of it. It is, I will be a living nightmare to deal with for probably 4 weeks, 5, 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, because it will not be easy to deal with those. I will be probably a basket case curled up, because I'm in my bedroom right now, curled up on that bed curled up in a ball, bawling my frickin' eyes out, going, what did I just do? Yeah, it can be, Trace. Trace is saying, I know that door. It's so bright on the other side, neon bright. Yeah, it really, really can be. And no, I understand. That's your door. I can relate to that, though. Being an ET abductee, and when you've got that many memories, and like I said, I'm 56 years old. Memories since 4 years old of ETs. I don't have my painting is in my living room, but it's actually, you'll see, Trace, if you go through my I was going to say my feed. That's not what I mean. If you go through my channel, there are a number of screenshots or pictures of me with me going back like this, and how do I, everything's in reverse on this camera, so I apologize. But when I am doing, how do I do the finger? Yeah, there we go. When I am doing this and I've got a smile on my face, I'm pointing to a picture behind me in that corner. And the picture is of me at 4 years old being on board a ship, and this ET ship, and it was a true ET. And when I say ET, I mean solely ET. This is not an ET U.S. military ship. And they took us and I mean us, all of us kids and some adults who were controllers of the kids via the ETs, um, through the known universe. And we got to see different nebulas and star systems and our Milky Way galaxy and the whole kit and freaking caboodle. And I have a memory of it, and I chose to paint it, I think in 2019. And so go through it, you'll see it. And so yeah, it's 4 years old with that. I think I painted. Alice is asking, when did you paint this? I think I did it in 2019. I'd have to go into the living room to get the painting, but you'll find it on my here on my channel. And I talk quite extensively. There's one whole, I think, like 5 hours of one show, and half of that show is talking about that one experience. There's a can't believe I'm gonna say it. I've never ID'd this person. I have never once identified who this person is. Can't believe I'm gonna do it. Holy fuck. So there is a person in ufology who recently died. Yeah, you do, Simon. That person's been on SOR. Yes, you do. So there was a person that I knew at age 4 years old. He was approximately 21, 22 years old. Somebody else put it in the chat. I don't know if I honestly thought I was going to ID him, and now I'm second guessing myself. Drew, Robert, and Amy, I'm calling you folks out. Put the name in the chat, please, if you're still there and still listening. Starts with an M. So no. Although Stanton Friedman did come and talk to me after he died, only he talked, I think it was 3 months after he had died. Thank you, Drew. So at 4 years old, I am on a craft, on an ET ship. And that individual is the one who turned me around. I've never once ID'd him before. If you go back in my sorry, Derek, I don't have very good memories. If you go back in my channel, I talk exactly what I think, and what my experiences were. Yeah, I was wondering about that, Amy, because I figured you would have been the first to name him. Thank you, Drew, for saying it. But yeah, he was the one who, when I was standing at the window and I had my hand on the window and that energy wrapped around my hand, because I got told, because I thought it was glass, but I couldn't understand. At 4 years old, I knew that glass reflects. Why couldn't I see everybody behind me? There was a whole group of kids and a number of adult humans standing behind me, along with ETs. Why? It made no logical sense to my human brain why I could not see anybody. I didn't understand it. So I wanted to go up there. And when I talk about I wanted to go up to the window. What I talked to you about last time. Oh, interesting. Thank you, Trace. I appreciate that. Okay, so what I talked about last week, is that Drew, can you put in his nickname? What he went by? Anyway, paranormal. Not UFO, paranormal. Bingo. So when I was 4 years old, I'm on board this ship. There's all these kids. This is how I knew that the ET ships had were alive. Now the outer shell is not. It's made of whatever they make it of in order to survive space and pressure and all this other shit, science shit that I can't even wrap my own head around. The insides of the ships, however, are living bio material. They are living consciousness. I had one moment. That's the correct term, that last one that you just put in. Drew, thank you. I had turned around from the group of kids and looked at the wall, because it was just an ordinary wall with a window above it. I turned back around to the kids, and then my thought was, in my head, I was thinking, I want to go up and look out that window. Why can't I go up and look out that window? I turned back around to that wall, and there is a platform with a set of stairs just big enough for a little kid. An adult could not have climbed those stairs. They could have, but it would have been very difficult. It was designed specifically for a child. And I remember thinking, how did that get there? It wasn't there a second ago. How did that stairs get there? And I didn't even know that that's what it was called, platform, because that wasn't a term that was in my head at that time. I was 4 years old. I was just like, how did those stairs get there? How did that get there? Made no sense. It wasn't until years later that I had memory of, as a woman who is in the hybridization program, same race of ET, of when a number of my kids were born, and I literally was allowed to remember stairs, kids thinking this, and you could hear the kids, you could hear their thoughts. You can hear a lot of the thoughts from the kids, and there were kids of all ages, or what appeared to be all ages, and they were thinking, I want to run upstairs. And up out of the floor would form this stairwell, this stairs that would go up, and it would go out into the letter Y. So you'd go up, and then out. And they'd run up, they'd run down. and then it would literally go back into the floor and the wall. Never talked about the wall, but anyway, and I've seen other kids who wanted to play on a playground, and literally out of the wall would come a playground. It was living metal. The circadian rhythm birthing chairs, or after the birth, would come up out of the floor and would literally be, it's like they were manifested out of the floor. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like the floor, it's not like a chair comes up out of the floor. It's like the floor comes up and becomes this chair and sits on this platform. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up. Okay, so caught up. All right, so basically, so that individual that's mentioned in chat, I'm 4 years old. He's 21, 22 years old. And he was ordered by the ETs because I could hear the ETs ordering him to come and get me. Because I'm allowed to walk up, is how I should say that. I walk up the stairs, I'm on the platform, I have my hand pressed against what I then hear, get your hand off the energy barrier. And I have blue light, bright blue, but it's pale blue. It's like a sky blue. And that's what the picture is. That's what the painting is. And the painting comes in and the blue wraps around my fingers and my hand, the bottom part of my hand, wherever my skin was touching the window, or what I thought was a window, at 4 years old. And he is ordered by the ETs to remove me. That's the individual. I've never outed him publicly. People know privately. A lot of people know privately. Talked about it extensively. I've never outed him publicly. Go back into some of my other, because I will not talk about the rest of it, because I just won't. But go back into what I say about what that person does in 2019. So everybody has a different view. Everybody remembers. Yes, they do. That's a response to Trace. Everybody remembers that person differently. Love and kind and happy, and it's not how I remember them. So go back into my other broadcasts, and you'll find out why I get very angry. The last time I saw them, I was at a conference, a mini conference in, God, where the hell was I? Edmonds or Mount Lake Terrace, I don't remember. There was a mini conference going on, and I refused to go up to say hello. Absolutely refused, and I was getting the stink eye. I'm like, I don't give two shits. I do not have to. And they deliberately made it a point to come up to say hello as they were leaving. And I was like, oh, hello. I knew what was going on. I knew it psychically. And I'm like, I have my issues with this individual because of certain things that were done in 2019. And to me, what was done in 2019 is really close to unforgivable. So, yeah, Alice, was this someone who was in your abductions and later met him? Oh, yeah. Met him in 2018 at a bariatric clinic. This was before they went and had gastric bypass surgery. So, I've got a very different view. Met his son, like his son. I know that he's got other kids and ex-wife, and I and a mom who is still living, and I am sorry for their family. But there's a history. When you have a lot of abductions with somebody and then they turn, I did my grieving. I've talked about this before. Um, uh, Drew, that's a different one, hon. When you know them as somebody completely different, on a ship, and what they turn out to be later in life, I did my grieving in 2019. Because when I got forced to see certain things and what they became, I cried. I actually cried. I cried for what they could have been. That was really hard for me because I was like, as a child, this person was an adult to me, and they were a form of a protector of kids, and that's how the adults were treated, was that they were in control of the children, of the human children. And that's what this person did. They were in control of but it was a forced situation. It was forced on them by the ETs. So I have not a lot, I have some very specific memories of that individual on board ship. And yeah, I've actually met other abductees who I've later met in life. Real big trip and a half when you meet that person. Interestingly enough, there's another person in my chat who he and I finally figured out how we knew each other, and it's on board ship. So yeah, you can have people in your life that you have this connection with, and you can't put your finger on why. But then you start going, oh, well, maybe it's from a past lifetime. Yeah, it's possible it's from a past lifetime. But what about this? What if it's from on board a ship, an ET ship? Because you are an abductee and they are too. Think about that. Think about that, folks. It's a hard realization. And somebody you know on board ship, what did their soul feel like to you at that moment in time versus what it is off board ship? Versus what it is on planet. Can be very different, especially when so many years go by. I hadn't seen this individual for, God, 40 years, 45 years, something like that. Then I meet them again, and we have this instantaneous connection that neither one of us could figure out what the hell it was from. Yeah, it makes things really interesting. So yeah, it's makes life, opens things up when you recognize somebody as another. And I recognize it now, not immediately, but it's like, it's your soul is going, oh my God, I know them. And then it's like, holy crap, because when it hits you, it's like, holy shit, that's a big deal. Yeah, I might not want to remember either, says Simon. Yeah, it makes, there's things on board ship that I don't want to remember, but I know it's important for me to remember. I remember hybrid babies that are not okay. Let's just put it that way. And that's cry worthy. I mean, even right now, I'm trying to cut the emotion off from that one. There are, yeah. I gotta say, the one thing that I'm very thankful for about the Arcturians, because those are the ones who take me. They are, I'm very, very thankful for them in a lot of regards, because one of the things that they don't do is they do not unalive the babies, even if they have disabilities. They don't do abortion. They don't. It boils down to the human, the mother, the human mother. She is a host. I used to, when I was first really hardcore remembering, I used to call the babies like a parasite, but it's not. They're literally, you are, oh crap, now I can't think of what it's called when you're a surrogate. You're a surrogate parent is basically what you are. You're a surrogate body. And it makes it really tough. I if the human mother's body will not allow the pregnancy, then the body naturally aborts. The tissue. And typically that happens early on as a zygote, you go from embryo to zygote to all the others, and it's usually at the zygote, whatever, stage, that's when the human mother's body does, let's go. I've never come across any yet. I should make a clarifier statement to that. Early in pregnancy, I've never come across a human mother, hybrid mother or surrogate mother, I should say, a surrogate mother of hybrid babies. I've never come across a human mother where their body does it to where it's like partially formed, in a much larger state. I've never come across that. I've never heard of that. And I've come across a lot of different aspects of this stuff. So So it is possible. I'm not saying it's not, but one of the things that I'm very thankful for about the Arcturians is because I've seen hybrid children that are disabled, and I mean completely disabled. Oh, that was interesting. Yeah, my phone's doing some weird shit. So yeah, it gets kind of interesting. I've seen I've seen children and some full-grown hybrid kids that are disabled, so they don't unalive them, and they actually I've talked about this before. The ETs, those specific race of ET, they make sure that that disabled child has a nursemaid that goes with them through life. So they will always, always, always have somebody with them. Always. They go through every aspect of life. That child will need for nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's caregiving to the extreme. That's something I wish humans did. Okay, I'm missing stuff in chat. Hang on a second. Experience through. Ouch, 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 ouch. Okay, I'm still early pregnancy and runs in the family for generations. Honesty. Alice, you just answered my question. Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, well, and see, I don't know if all ETs do that, though. Okay, I must be... God, somebody got to remind me to be on live chat. Good grief. It's a top chat. Simon, sounds like it. Doesn't this run in families? Yeah, it can. It's usually genetic based. It's not always genetic based, but it's usually genetic based. So, and I'm not someone who knows all of this. I'm an experiencer who remembers a lot of my experiences. Okay, just chit chat. Okay. Trace, do you see the mothers rocking the babies? Did you? Excellent question, my dear. So the Arcturians, how do I say this? I'm trying to do this very succinctly, and I don't know if there's any way to do this where it's short, where I can condense it down. Basically, what takes place is they implant the embryo. If your body holds on to the embryo, you're pregnant. And so I've been pregnant from the time I would... Oh, you made it, Tim. Greetings, Nikki in chat. Just popping in to say hi and give a like. Picking up Christine at the airport. Yahoo! Sorry. Tell her I said hello. I'll send my love to both of you. That's awesome news. Anyway, and thank you for the like and popping in. I appreciate it. Okay, so basically your body becomes pregnant. Here's the key factor to this. When you're pregnant with an ET baby, 8 times out of 10, I should probably say that more differently. 8 times out of 10, depending upon the race, those babies grow at an enormous rate of speed. Incredible rate of speed. So they do not take 9 months to grow in a womb. That's not how they function. Okay? I was first impregnated at 13 years old. Less than a month after I had to think about how to phrase this. Less than a month after I was 14, they took the baby. Okay? I don't remember right now what month it was that they impregnated me. Most women who are in the hybridization program, not the hybridization program where you have relations with an ET or with a humanized hybrid to create more hybrids. I am in a hybridization program that literally makes it so that they do the implanting. You have a pregnancy to a specific term in that pregnancy that where they then remove the infant from you, still in the sac, still in the whatchamacallit, I can't think of the name of the sac anyway. In the sac, they put the baby, that hybrid baby, at a certain many months into a gestational container, whether that is a, thank you, Alice, placenta. God, my brain. This just drives me nuts because typically I would have all of that before they did all the electronical bullshit targeting with me. Anyway, so they take the baby in the placenta and they put the baby in a container, in a gestational container. Now, whether that is a large cylinder or whether that is a sac, I've seen both, but there are typically people who talk about the sacs more than they do the containers. I've seen both. 9 times out of 10, my kids are in the what look like glass cylinder containers, large cylinder containers. Some of them were small, but that doesn't happen very often. Usually is the grays that are the small containers. The other hybridized infants are in the larger containers. Now, that said, they go from that, so they're in the mother for 4 or 5 months, and then they're in the gestational container for a number of other months. Now, as it is now, over all these years, if I become ET, what I call ET pregnant, I'm pregnant for 3 months. They remove the infant and then they keep the infant for another 3 months in the gestational container. It goes from the container and then they are, quote unquote, birthed. This is a long way to explain this, Trace, but it at least gives you an idea of the process. So, you are abducted. When that, just before that infant is birthed, like the day of, you as the human host mother are re-abducted on board ship. You are cleaned up. You're put into a like a bodysuit. I don't know how else to describe it. It just automatically goes on you and seals on you, and it can tell your heart rate, your rhythm, your oxygen saturation. It tells you all of your diagnostics, okay? The suit does. I don't think I've ever talked, well, no, I did. I think I talked about it twice in the last 2 years. Anyway, so then you are brought through the nursery. You go from the nursery to a birthing area or what I call a I don't know what else to call it. Hey, got it. Itchy spot. You go into the what I call the birthing area, and you literally it's like it's like 2 or 3 rooms in one. You are not allowed to see the baby be birthed. I do not know why. I can only imagine why. They remove the baby, they clean the baby up. The baby is butt ass naked, brought out to you. The baby is brought by what are called the nursemaids. They're clones. They're ETs that are a combination. They're about 4'9" to 5'2" in height. They're a form of an Arcturian and a hybridized gray. Okay, so they've got kind of like a bulbous head, the eyes of a human, but kind of bigger. Their eyes are blue, their skin is blue, their hair is black and straight. It's jet black and straight. It goes to about about right here. They all look exactly alike. You can tell the difference from them from their soul and their energy. They all look like they're females. They all wear the what I call the charge nurses wear a pantsuit or a bodysuit. The nursemaids themselves are in kind of like a dress. It's like a bodysuit, but a dress instead. Okay. So your infant is brought out to you. They're on, I have to think about this. They're on, the baby's on the right side of them. They're brought out. And they're walked through the nursery and the it's like a kindergarten room. I can't think of what it's called at the second. And you do not have normal babies. These babies are hyper fucking active, pardon the language. Very hyperactive. I'll get to that in a minute. What do you mean? Oh, hybridization. Oh, okay. Thank you, Simon, for that clarification, because I was like, well, what the hell do you mean, dude? I'll talk about that in a minute. And so these babies are very calm when they're brought out. The second they start to feel their mother's energy, even from across the room, they become, get me away from this woman. I don't want to be around the nursemaid. I want to be with mama. And I've had infants that will literally crawl out of the nursemaid's arms, off her shoulder. These are newborn infants, okay, folks? Newborns. And things that you do not see off of a human newborn. You just don't. I've had newborns actually crawl, just like get away from, I don't want to be, that's not my person, basically. And they will literally turn themselves around and reach out for the mother and glom on. And the second you put them on over your heart, they literally calm down. You are then ordered, you can rock them, but you don't need to, because the second they feel, and you have to put them, you get reminded, put them over your heart. The second they literally are on your chest, over your heart, they calm down. It's like a great big sigh of relief. It's like, and it's like they're with you. I mean, you can rock side to side, you can go back and forth, whatever is natural. But typically, I've never had to, unless I can feel that I need to, that they need me to. Then that's instinct. That comes from sheer instinct. Then you are walked. You typically have the nursemaid that was with the infant. That nursemaid will stay with that infant until that infant appears to look like they are about 4 years old or thereabouts. They're not really that old. Remember, I said these are fast growing children, fast growing beings. I'm not joking when I say that. It boggles my mind at how these people are so many thousands of years advanced than we are. And their children, our hybrid children, they grow at a rate of speed that it took me a long time to wrap my head around. I was like, you're full of shit. I literally, I was not nice about it with them. And they had me watch, and I still have a hard time wrapping my head around this, wrapping my human thought brain around how fast these ETs grow. Now, this is specific to the Arcturians. Okay, I don't know about the other races of ET. I only know because about the how the Arcturians do it, because they are the ones who are doing what I call the splicing and dicing of the genetics. I've seen them do it. From 4 years old, I've had my arms and legs wrapped around a 7-foot tall, tall white ET, going, because he was like a father figure, asking him what he was doing, and he was showing me in a laboratory. So, yeah. So anyway, so you are directed. Yeah, you're very welcome, Trace. So you are directed by the nursemaid who goes with your infant. Okay? They'll have a different nursemaid after a specific amount of time. You are directed to go sit down in what's called a circadian rhythm bonding chair. That is what it's called. You will sit in that chair and you will rock. And you will rock for a very, very specific amount of time, a number of minutes and a number of seconds. Anything more in that chair is not allowed. And there's a specific form of bonding that happens. It's not just, it's like your soul, that baby soul connect. Okay. Not only does that take place, there is some kind of blood flow reaction in the baby as well as in the human mother, in the host. And I'm here to tell you, there have been times where I have said, I'm taking my baby and I'm leaving and I'm raising my child. And they're like, no, you're not. These are our children. And I'm like, no, they're not. This baby was in me. And yeah, yeah, I've had them. I've talked about this before in the past, where it's like, they're like, where do you think you're going to go, Nikki? You're on board our ship. How are you going to get off this ship? How are you going to get through space and back on Earth? Where are you going to go? How are you going to raise this infant? How are you going to do that when this infant in a month or 2 months will be a full-fledged adult? Or look like a full-fledged adult, but they have a child's mind? How are you going to teach them? What are you going to teach them? How are you going to teach them our sciences? How are you going? I've been down this road too many times. There was one time where I actually got into a physical fight while I had my infant in my arms because I was like, "You're not taking my child from me. You're not being a thief." Yeah. Doesn't bode well for the baby. So they had to calm me down, which calms the baby down because the baby's still in your arms and the baby's like, "This is my mom. I'm not going anywhere. I stay with mama." And when you are standing up, there's still that bond. But as soon as you hit a very specific level in your circadian rhythm in your body, the baby will release, literally will let go of you. And there is a telepathic, there's a telepathic connection between you and that infant. So at the same time, all of this is taking place, it's like you have to say goodbye. You have to say goodbye to that infant and allow them to raise your baby. And I am here to tell you that is not an easy thing for me. So, Trace, a lot of people will not believe of this, and that's fine. I've been told that I have 26 hybridized children. Do I remember all of them? No. How many of them do I remember? I remember probably close to half. Not quite half, but damn near close. How many pregnancies do I remember? Quite a few of them. A lot more than I actually remember in children. Ouch. So, and regarding that, pregnancy tests will show, human pregnancy tests will show if you're even ET pregnant. So yeah, there's that. I hope, my dear, I have answered all of your questions because I'm sure that has probably triggered a lot of other questions. Nikki, for what purpose? Again, hybridization. So there's a lot of reasons for hybridization, Simon. Some of it is because of the genetics, and they've screwed up some of their own, some of the ETs, some of the races who abduct have screwed up their own genetics. Not all, but there are some. Trace, did you have Earth babies? I've had one Earth baby. I had a boy, and he is 32 years old. I was going to say something else, and I can't say that. Simon, thanks, Nikki. Yeah, you're very welcome. Excuse me. Hybridization also helps with the species. So I'm going to be blunt. I've had hybridized babies who are a combination of human gray, of human Arcturian, of Lyran. I had to think about that a second. Of Laborian, which is a form of Lyran. Ouch. Now, I will tell you this. Oh, and I have had reptilian, or those that are like reptilian. And actually, when they did that with me, I was in my early 30s, and that effed up my body permanently. Remember, when you are ET pregnant, it's just like when you're pregnant in this way. It is just like when you are pregnant with a human child. Those genetics that roam around in the baby also roam around in the human host's, in the human mother host's body and brain. That's human scientific fact. Look it up. When I made that realization a few years ago, it really started jiving with some of my medical stuff. I could not, in my 90s, I went from being one specific kind of a person regarding heat and having the ability to have not be cold. I mean, yeah, I would be cold, but I had a pretty good intolerance to cold. And then after I had been ET pregnant with a form of reptilian babies, a number of them, in fact, completely changed my genetic makeup. Boy, did it piss me off. Matter of fact, I had people, I had really close friends who were making comments to me on that. Why? How did you change? What is that change? None of my doctors could figure it out. I now understand why. It's because of the genetics of the reptilians. Well, reptilians go for heat. Hello. Not all of them, but a good percentage of them, and very specific ones. So, Simon, thanks, Nikki. Trace, do they need us to keep their planet alive since it's dying? It depends on which race of ET. Not all ET races are dying. There's a couple that are dying out, but not many. Good questions, Trace. Yeah, says Drew. Yeah, they're very good questions. Do they need us to keep their planet alive since it is dying? No. Some, I would say some do, but some really don't. Simon, I thought you already had kids. Speaking of kids, how is I believe it was your son. Is your son okay? Simon says, after this show, I'm going to get the sniff, Nikki. I can't afford child support for alien babies. Now, that's actually really funny. Yeah, anyway, so there's so many races of ET who come to Earth. There's so many that do hybridization. Oh, there we go. That helps the throat. Anyway, so I'm going to refer everybody over to you're not the alien it's like 1 minute to 9 p.m. I'm going to refer everybody over to Spaced Out Radio. And if you're not interested in that tonight, there is another show on. Robert White is going to be on. Let's see if I can find him in the chat. And Robert, if you're still listening, send me the link, would you please? Bummer, I'm not seeing it in the... Oh, shoot. I think the channel... Let's see if I can find the channel on here before I go. Something like things... where'd you go? Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. Things Network. So it's capital THINGS Network on YouTube. He is going to be on with a lady named Nikki, but I don't remember her last name. Trying to find it. Nikki Cameron. So if you're not doing spaced out radio and for whatever reason aren't interested in that tonight, then Robert is on with them. Paranormal PWA, he said. Thank you. Anyway, thank you, Simon, for keeping your messages for as long as you did. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that because I know you don't keep your stuff in my chat for very long. He deletes all. Message retracted. He deletes all of his messages. So, but I do appreciate you coming and hitting the like button and all of that. So, anyway, have a good night, folks. Take very good care. I will not be on. I'll be on next week, but it will not be on Thursday. And the reason for that is I have a medical appointment. So I will be doing Tuesday at 7 p.m. I got to put this in right now, otherwise that ain't happening. So yeah. Anyway, take very good care. Enjoy your night. Message me if you need things answered, or you can wait until next week. I can be found on Restore Belief 2022 at gmail.com. You can also find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Nikki, NIKKI.Jacobs, JACOBS .376. There's also a psychic page for that, ufology page. It's all one page. And then on Wednesday nights at 10 to midnight Pacific time, I am on the S4 bunker. I've been doing that for a number of years. On Spreaker. And there's also a Discord chat so if you, that's also in all of my links except for last week. I've got to actually go in and do that. I've got to set that up and get all the time spots in there, timestamps in there for last week. I wasn't able to do it. So anyway, I got a lot of work tonight. I got to do last week's and tonight. So take very good care of yourselves, folks. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and share. And I will talk to you next week. Bye, guys. And there we go. We're off. Bye, guys.